June 2020, Frankfurt, Germany. The offices of BaFin, Germany's financial regulator. Officials stare in disbelief at a statement just released by Wirecard AG, the nation's fintech crown jewel. The company has just admitted that $1.9 billion, a quarter of its balance sheet, simply doesn't exist. Meanwhile, at Wirecard's headquarters in Aschheim, employees watch as police investigators enter the building. CEO Markus Braun, once hailed as Germany's Steve Jobs, has just resigned. The company's stock, which had reached €191 per share, is now in free fall. Just 5 months earlier, Braun stood confidently on stage at the World Economic Forum in Davos, boasting about Wirecard's revolutionary payment systems and record-breaking growth. Regulators, investors, and even Germany's largest banks believed his every word. This is the story of how a small payment processor for gambling sites and porn platforms transformed into a €24 billion financial powerhouse through elaborate accounting fraud, only to collapse overnight in Germany's biggest financial scandal in decades. 1999, Aschheim, Germany. In a small office outside Munich, Wirecard begins processing payments for websites traditional banks avoided, porn sites and online gambling platforms. The business is profitable but unglamorous until 2002, when Markus Braun, a computer scientist with a consultant's polish, joins as CTO. Within months, he's CEO and positioning Wirecard not as a payment processor for gray market websites, but as a fintech revolutionary. In 2005, Wirecard goes public just as the US restricts online gambling payments. Overnight, half their revenue disappears, a death blow for most companies. Yet mysteriously, Wirecard's financial reports show unprecedented growth. Investors are captivated by the numbers, unaware they're looking at elaborate fiction. Behind closed doors, Braun and his team invent an ingenious solution: fictional third-party partners in Asia who supposedly process billions in transactions, with proceeds held in trust accounts. In reality, these partners barely exist, and the money never does. "We're not just processing payments," Braun tells investors with unwavering confidence. "We're reinventing the future of money." The strategy works brilliantly. By 2018, Wirecard replaces 150-year-old Commerzbank in Germany's prestigious DAX 30 index. 2016-2018, Wirecard enjoys its golden era. The stock surges from €30 to 190 yuan, reaching a market value that surpasses Deutsche Bank. Braun, now a paper billionaire, becomes a fixture at global conferences. 26,000 clients, operations in 100 countries, billions in daily transactions, he boasts at Davos, where finance ministers and banking executives hang on his every word. Behind the impressive headquarters and slick presentations lies a different reality. Wirecard's actual operations remain modest, a mid-sized payment processor with thin margins. The COO, Jan Marsalek, charming and enigmatic with rumored intelligence connections, jets between Singapore, Dubai, and Manila, managing this shadow operation with military precision. When the Financial Times questions Wirecard's accounting in 2015, Germany's BaFin regulators investigate not the company but the journalists for market manipulation. "We are the victims of short sellers and jealous competitors," Braun tweets, as German media rallies around their national champion. A German business newspaper calls the FT investigation a failed attack on one of Germany's few tech champions. Meanwhile, the fiction grows larger, even as the foundation begins to crack. January 2019. The Financial Times publishes Wirecard inside an accounting scandal, detailing suspicious transactions in Singapore. Days later, local authorities raid Wirecard's offices. A whistleblower provides evidence of systematic fraud, fabricated customers, circular money flows, forged contracts. For the first time, serious investors begin questioning the Wirecard narrative. The stock drops 40%. Braun counters with another masterful performance. He announces a €900 million SoftBank investment that restores market confidence. "This partnership validates our vision," he declares, as the stock recovers. Few realize the deal isn't with SoftBank itself, but with individual employees through a complex financial vehicle. In October 2019, Wirecard makes a fatal error. After years using small, compliant auditors, they hire EY to conduct a special audit that will finally put all allegations to rest. Instead, EY begins asking questions previous auditors never did. They want direct confirmation of the trust accounts in the Philippines. They request original bank documents rather than copies. By April 2020, EY makes a devastating discovery. The accounts don't exist. The bank confirmations Wirecard provided were forgeries. July 2017, Munich. Markus Braun steps from his black Tesla at Wirecard's gleaming headquarters. German business magazines splash him across covers as the digital banking revolutionary. His black turtleneck, rimless glasses, and monotone confidence have become his trademark. Banking is broken, he tells CNBC. We're not fixing it, we're replacing it. Inside the company, employees call him the Oracle. Braun's personal fortune reaches 1.6 billion euro, while COO Jan Marsalek cultivates a more mysterious image. Marsalek hosts extravagant yacht parties in the Mediterranean, collects rare watches, and brags to associates about connections to Russian intelligence. At one Vienna gathering, he shows guests classified documents about Libya's civil war and claims to possess the formula for Novichok, the Russian nerve agent. Business requires unique relationships, he tells stunned associates. October 2018 marks Wirecard's crowning achievement, joining Germany's DAX 30 alongside industrial giants like Siemens and Volkswagen. Chancellor Merkel becomes an unwitting ambassador, promoting Wirecard during state visits to China. Germany's digital champion, newspapers call it. When journalists raise questions, BaFin doesn't investigate Wirecard. They ban short selling of its stock and investigate the journalists instead. April 2019. While Braun discusses financial transformation on Bloomberg TV, Wirecard's Special Operations Group works frantically in a secure room at headquarters. Their job: creating documentation for the fictional third-party business that supposedly generates half of Wirecard's revenue. They fabricate customer lists, manufacture payment volumes, and forge statements showing billions in trust accounts that don't exist. The company operates two parallel realities. The public sees a revolutionary fintech with global reach. Internally, a modest payment processor struggles with basic technology issues, while a small circle maintains an elaborate fraud. Employees who ask questions find themselves suddenly transferred or offered generous severance packages with strict non-disclosure agreements. The deception extends beyond paperwork. Investor tours of Asian offices showcase busy staff, many hired just for these visits. In Dubai, where Wirecard claims a major processing center, visitors see an impressive office that former employees later reveal sits mostly empty. October 2019. The Financial Times publishes The House of Wirecard, providing evidence of systematic fraud. KPMG is brought in for an independent audit. Unlike previous auditors, they request direct access to original bank statements and third-party partners. When auditors demand verification of the 1.9 billion euro supposedly held in Philippine banks, Wirecard executives panic. They're actually checking, Marsalek reportedly tells colleagues. The company repeatedly delays releasing KPMG's findings. April 2020. Instead of publishing the promised audit, Wirecard issues a vague statement claiming no evidence of wrongdoing. When KPMG's actual report emerges under pressure, it reveals they couldn't verify 1 billion euro in revenue. The stock plunges. Wirecard announces EY will soon sign off on their annual statements, briefly steadying the market and giving insiders time to sell shares. Behind the scenes, Marsalek frantically travels between Manila, Singapore, and Dubai, attempting to create enough documentation to satisfy auditors. June 18, 2020. Instead of releasing its annual report, Wirecard announces 1.9 billion euro is missing. Within days, the truth emerges. The money never existed. The third-party business generating half their revenue was largely fictional. Braun resigns, is arrested, then released on 5 million euro bail. Marsalek disappears, last tracked to Belarus on a private jet, likely escaping to Russia using intelligence connections cultivated for years. Germany's fintech star implodes in real time. July 2020. While Braun faces criminal charges in Germany, investors who once cheered Wirecard's success now face catastrophic losses. Pension funds lose billions. Retail investors who believed in the German tech success story see life savings evaporate. I trusted German regulation. One retiree tells Der Spiegel after losing €150,000. I thought they were careful with our money. Ernst & Young faces existential crisis for failing to catch the fraud during years of audits. BaFin undergoes complete restructuring after its catastrophic regulatory failure. Thousands of innocent Wirecard employees lose their jobs overnight, having dedicated years to what they thought was a legitimate fintech pioneer. We believed in the mission, one former developer says. We had no idea the numbers were fake. Investigators discover the fraud was even more extensive than initially thought. Beyond the phantom €1.9 billion, much of Wirecard's core business was artificially inflated. The company had borrowed billions using fabricated financial statements, leaving creditors with massive losses. German politicians who once proudly associated with Europe's tech champion now scramble to distance themselves from what newspapers call the Enron of Germany. January 2022, Munich. In a courtroom, Markus Braun sits expressionless as prosecutors detail charges carrying up to 15 years imprisonment. He maintains his innocence, claiming to be Marsalek's victim. Braun's assets are frozen. Hundreds of millions, potentially siphoned offshore, remain hidden. Jan Marsalek, now on Interpol's most wanted list, remains at large. Likely protected by Russian intelligence services he cultivated while crafting Wirecard's phantom empire. The scandal forces a regulatory reckoning across Europe. Germany implements radical reforms to BaFin, giving the agency more investigative power. The EU strengthens oversight of payment companies previously operating in gray areas. For the auditing profession, Wirecard represents a devastating failure. How could basic checks of bank balances go unperformed? The desire for a German tech champion to rival Silicon Valley gives way to painful self-examination. We wanted a tech success story so badly that we ignored the warning signs, admits one prominent German banker. The Wirecard scandal stands as a humbling reminder that in the digital age where money exists primarily as numbers on screens, the oldest kind of fraud, simply lying about having money, can still bring down empires. I'm working to bring you more in-depth analysis of the biggest financial scandals. Please subscribe to the channel if you think you need more content like this and in more length form. Thanks for watching, and remember, if something sounds too good to be true in the financial world, it probably is.